Hey everyone, thanks so much for joining me. In this video, we're going to be using the h-brewer decarboxylator and infuser by trueherb. This is a machine that decarboxylates your herb, decarbs your herb, and then infuses your oil after that. So what we're going to do, I have some cannabis herb here that I've already ground up. I'm going to use this in the h-brewer. I'm going to decarb it in here. And then once it's done decarbing, I'm going to add coconut oil, and I'm going to infuse my coconut oil with the cannabis. And what I'll have at the end is infused coconut oil, THC infused coconut oil that I can use for baking edibles, for making topicals, or you name it. But those are the two big ones and the two that I'll be using it for. So to get started, we got to turn the machine on. You press the dial. I know in my unboxing video, I was not sure how to how exactly to operate the machine. I think I have it down now, but you press to turn it on. You turn the dial to get to the setting that you want. There's activate, which is a decarb, infuse, which is the infusion, and then temperature settings. So we're going to have it on the activate. Press the button to open. One thing I didn't notice in my last video either was that this stainless steel non-stick pot comes out as well. So this is what's going to carry all the oil. It also has measuring markers on there as well. So that's kind of nice. So once it's all done infusing the oil, I can take all of this out, let it cool, and then drain it in this really cool strainer. It's kind of like a micro strainer, so none of the fine particles of cannabis will be able to get through, which will be nice for edibles and topicals when you're not wanting as much of the plant material to get into your final product. So they recommend for 3 cups, which is the max that you can do at a time, 3 cups of oil. They recommend 1.5 ounces of herb. So that's what I have here. Their temperature setting is set for 240 degrees. Looks like 31 minutes. I think I may have changed that in the setting on accident. I think it's set to 30 minutes, but 31 minutes isn't going to hurt. So I'm going to do my best to get this in the bucket here. I'm going to take it out actually. All right, so this will all go in here. It's going to go inside the machine and close it up, and it's going to heat up to 240 degrees. I think the ideal temperature for decarbing is between 240 and 260. So I'm happy with the 240. And then you want it to go for about 30 minutes. So that time period is right on track. Now there are a lot of ranges for this. If you're using a CBD dominant strain, a high CBD strain, they actually need to go longer, up to an hour. So keep that in mind. But be sure, I do this every time before I cook anything, before I decarb, before I infuse oil, I double and triple check the measurements online just because you don't want to mess up. So make sure if you're doing a CBD, a high CBD strain, like I said, that you think it might need longer, double check that. Look up an instruction or an ingredient list, and I guess you don't need many ingredients, but look up directions online. All right, I guess I don't need all the keef in there, but man, this is, I should share, this is a banana OG that I grew over the summer. So it's been curing for upwards of 5-6 months now. We're in March, so yeah, about 5 months. It smells pretty good. It didn't have a lot of scent on the plant. From what I have read, banana OG just doesn't have a strong scent. It's got a bit of that OG smell to it, but that's about it. Which is one reason why I picked it. My wife hates when I decarb, especially inside, because it can stink up the house. I imagine this is going to do the same thing because it lets off the scent of whatever you're decarbing. You're cooking at a high temperature, 240 degrees, so it's going to let off a smell. So for that reason, I'm actually in my garage with this. But that's one reason I actually really like this machine, the h-brewer. It's really small and compact, and actually it makes it pretty portable. So you can take it indoors, you can take it into your kitchen, you can take it outdoors into your garage really easily. It should function well in either place. Make sure your garage is clean. That would be the only concern about working in the garage, especially you get to the infusion stage. You don't want anything, you don't want dirt or dust getting in there. So I'm going to close this up and start her up. So it's on activate. And that's all you do. Now we wait. I'm not going to make you wait the full 31 minutes. I'll bring you back once this is done decarbing. And then we'll move on to infusing. We're going to do 3 cups of coconut oil in there. So I'll let you know how it smells. I'll let you know how it looks. I'll show you how the bud looks once it's done decarbing. And then I'll do the same with the oil once it's done infusing. We'll be back in just a second. All right, our time is up. Our weed is done decarbing now. So we're going to go ahead and take a look. If everything looks good, we will go ahead and add our oil and start the infusion process. So I'm a little past the 30 minutes. A couple things I'll point out. So this did an auto shut off, which I appreciate. It doesn't keep cooking. And you don't have that hazard of your machine being kept on. So there's the auto off feature, which is nice. Another thing I'd mention is that it did take a while to heat up. It took about 30 minutes to heat up, it seems like, which I wasn't quite expecting that. So I don't know if that's just because it was first time use or if that's typical, but something to factor in if time is an issue for you. So this is cooled down now, so it's still warm, but cool to the touch. Bud it looks nicely decarbed. It's a nice brownish, dark greenish brownish that you look for. The decarbed weed is not burnt, it's not cooked, it smells like decarbed weed. Another thing I'll mention too, I'm really impressed by the smell lock of this thing, if that's what you want to call it. It really locked in the smell. When it was decarbing and heating up, the h-brewer did not smell of cannabis. It only smelled once I opened it. So during the cooking process, the decarbing process, and I imagine the infusion process as well, it didn't smell at all, which is really nice. So that's just another thing to keep in mind. So I'm going to be adding coconut oil. The instruction guide that was sent with the h-brewer has really nice guidelines it breaks down what type of oil to use, at what temperature, and for how long. So I'm using coconut oil. So we need a temperature of 175, which I've set already. So I'll turn this on and turn it to the infusion mode. So it's at 175 for 120 minutes, 2 hours. And I know what's nice about this versus doing it on the stovetop, you have to monitor on the stovetop, you have to monitor the temperature. You don't want it to go over, I think, 240. That's when cannabinoids start burning. So you have to really monitor it very closely. This regulates the temperature. It's not going to go over 175. I can do this low and slow method where I cook it at a low temperature, 175 for 2 hours. And that's going to extract all of the cannabinoids, the THC, the CBD from my cannabis and infuse it into the oil. So I did 1.5 ounces of cannabis, a banana OG that I've grown. And I am, the instructions for the h-brewer that trueherb sent calls for 1.5 ounces of herb to 3 cups of oil. So I'm going to add 3 cups of coconut oil. All right, there's about a cup. Try to do this without making a big mess. That's another thing about this h-brewer is it's like an all-in-one system. So it keeps the mess down. It keeps the mess on the low side because I'm not having to use several different things. It has a strainer right in there. So I'm not expecting to use cheesecloth to drain this, which I typically have to do. I'm thinking I can strain it straight from this strainer that's included. Then I'm not having to use, I usually will use a rice cooker or a crock pot to decarb my weed. That helps control the temperature a little bit. You can just put it on a low setting, but it's a pain in the butt to pull out your crock pot every time. And you could argue the same thing about this device, I guess, but it's just nice to have a dedicated machine, especially for cannabis. You're not having to get your other stuff dirty and smelling like cannabis. You have a dedicated machine for it. Just want to show you here. This is looking pretty full already with just 2 cups. So we'll see how this goes. I'm gonna try to add another cup in here, but I might have to go a little bit lighter. I think it'll fit, especially once this is all melted down and blended with the cannabis herb. And again, so this is going to infuse the oil. The oil is going to basically suck out all of the THC and CBD and other cannabinoids from our herb. And then we can use our oil for cooking, making edibles, making gummies. You can use your oil. One thing I love to do is to make topicals, to make lotions or balms. So I'll show you how to do that in a separate video. But first we need to infuse this. So you'll see it didn't auto turn off again while we were waiting, so that's nice. But we're gonna close it and then turn it on. So there's this paddle you can see here. This is gonna turn during the infusion mode and actually stir the oil. This is a temperature probe, so that monitors the temperature. And then this is gonna spin and turn and stir our oil. So let's see here. Hopefully nothing overflows. All right, we're locked and loaded. So we'll turn around and now we just wait. I'm curious to know how long it's going to take to heat up because like this time, hard mode is a good half hour. So I'll let you to heat. But hopefully it won't take quite that long. And if it does, it does. That's okay. This is a long process. We're going low and slow anyway. So if it adds a half hour, so be it. We got 2 hours to wait anyways. I'm just noticing it's saying 71 degrees. I want to make sure that's probably just what it's at right now. But I want to double check I didn't miss the temperature. No, 175. So that must be what it was at. I didn't notice that before. So that should creep up to 175. Once it does, once it hits the target temperature, this timer will start ticking down. And then once it's done, we're going to let it cool. We're going to strain our oil. And then we should have some nice infused oil that we can use, like I said, for edibles and topicals. So we'll come check on this in about 2 hours and we'll see where it's at. All right, the h-brewer is done infusing my coconut oil. It's been going for 2 hours at 175 degrees Fahrenheit. So we'll see how the coconut oil looks. You'll see I have some new tools here also. Not really tools, but just for the next phase of this, I have a couple of mason jars that I'm going to be using to transfer the coconut oil into. Before I do that, I need to turn off my fan. All right, sorry about that. Let's go ahead and see how it looks. One of my least favorite parts of making infused oil in general is having to strain out the herb at the end using cheesecloth, squeezing it out. It just gets so messy and you get oil everywhere. So I hate doing that. It's one of the things that kind of keeps me from doing infusions oftentimes. So one of the benefits here to the h-brewer is that, actually I think this comes off, this paddle. I'm not gonna break it right now. I'll make sure it comes off before I pull on it too hard. But anyways, one of the things I really like about the h-brewer, it stirs your infusion, which is cool. It has this paddle that stirs. I just wanted to make sure it's not going to drip as I pull out this strainer. And actually I can pull out the whole pot, I forget that. And I just don't want this to drip anywhere inside the machine. All right, so remember how when we added the coconut oil, this was completely full. That's because the coconut oil was in a solid state. Now that it's melted down, this is probably only half full, 3/4 of the way full. But anyways, I didn't finish my original thought. I wanted to get this out of here. One of the things I love about the h-brewer and that I'm most excited about is that it has this built-in screen. So I'm not gonna have to dink around with cheesecloth. All your herb is collected there, and it's a fine mesh screen as well. So it collects the really fine particles that you don't want going into your infusion. So I wasn't sure how long this would need to strain for or drip for. It looks like it drips out relatively quickly. And I'm used to using cheesecloth where you're having to squeeze it out a little bit. You don't want to do too much or you'll get more of the chlorophyll or the unwanted particles in your final infusion. But I wasn't sure if I should press this down, kind of tamp it down or not. It doesn't seem like it really needs it. But what I'm gonna do is transfer this over just into a plastic bowl. Make sure my ladle's clean now. And then I have a ladle, I have some mason jars. I just figured I would transfer this over into mason jars. We could see how it looks in a clear vessel. And also just have our oil ready for cooking, ready for making topicals. So I'm excited. This h-brewer made it really easy. And this last part, my least favorite part, was a breeze. Check it out. This built-in strainer left me with just this beautiful infused coconut oil. Awesome. Cool. Well, thanks, trueherb. Thanks for sharing this h-brewer. I'm excited to see the final product here. But so far, it has made the process of decarbing my weed and then infusing the coconut oil. It's made it super easy. I don't know if you can, yeah, you can see what I'm doing. I want to make sure it's on camera. The other thing I'm accustomed to when making infusions is you strain it after the fact. So your pot, when you're straining it out, if I were to do this, the pot would be caked with debris at the bottom. So I'm curious to see what the bottom of this is like, if there are particles that made it through. But so far, we got this beautiful golden, or golden green. Did a pretty good job ladling that in there. But it's this nice dark green coconut oil. All right, let's do another jar of this real quick. And the real test will be trying this stuff out. I'll be making some other videos on how to make edibles with this infusion. I'll also be making some videos on how to make topicals with this infusion. So I'm a chronic pain patient. I use topicals. When I say topicals, I mean like lotions, balms, things like that. So I'll be making some videos on how to make topicals as well. So be sure to watch out for those. And for this last bit here, I'm at the last bit of this pot. I'm just going to try to pour it out. You can't tell, I hate the mess of the oil with the edibles. So this little pot is really nice. I like that it's non-stick too. And it does look like there is some particle buildup from that made it through. I don't know if you can see that on the bottom of the pan. And that's typical when you're making edibles, so I'm not worried about it. That strainer is so fine that anything that made it through probably would have made it through a cheesecloth also. So I'll pour this out if it starts getting too dark. It looks like yeah, like right there at the end. There's a lot of the plant matter that made it through. And so I don't want that in my jar. So you just stop pouring it out a little early. Once you see it getting to that point, it's heavier. That sediment is heavier, which is why it sits to the bottom of the pot. So if you pour out slowly, it'll stay at the bottom of the pot while you're pouring it out, and you can get just the oil, which is what you want. So now I've got 2 nice jars full of coconut oil, which is great. And then cleanup is a breeze. I just empty out my strainer here. I'll empty this out into the garbage. Easy peasy. So it's all in one machine. Makes cleanup a breeze. But yeah, here's my 2 cents on the h-brewer. It was super easy to decarb. You just throw in your bud. It heats it up. It keeps in all the smell too. I thought it would be smelly the whole time. It wasn't. It didn't release any scent at all actually until it was open. So it decarbed my weed really easily and did a really nice job. Infusing, I thought was great. I love that it spins. It has a paddle attachment. I love the strainer for easy cleanup. And it did a really good job. I like the presets on the machine. The machine itself is just really compact and portable. trueherb did a great job on the design of this machine. So props to you on that. I think that's great. It can easily fit on a countertop, or you just take it out like I do when you need it. But it's super small and compact, so it stores away really easily. What else can I say about the h-brewer? It has all the preset times and temperatures. It makes it really easy. It comes with a really in-depth user manual, so you're not left alone in the dark. Support's been really great. If I have any questions or need anything, they get back to me right away. So I'd highly recommend trueherb. Check out their products. Check out the h-brewer. If you're interested in buying this, check out the details of the video. The video description, I have a discount code in this video description and in the unboxing video of the h-brewer. Be sure to check out the unboxing video if you haven't. This was actually using it. So if you plan on buying one, be sure to use my discount code. You can save $30 on the h-brewer, which is great. It's a hefty discount. So $30 off, use my discount code. If you have any questions about the h-brewer, let me know. Leave me a comment, send me an email. I'll get back to you right away. If you have questions in general about making infusions, about decarbing your weed, let me know. I will get back to you right away. Leave me a comment. I'm happy to help. Again, be on the lookout for the next videos where we'll be turning this oil, this really nice coconut oil infusion. We'll be using this for making some lotion, some hand lotion, body balms. We'll be also making some edibles with it. I don't know what kind of edibles yet. I'm a cookie person myself, but we'll see what we end up making. So be on the lookout for those. If you like my videos, if you like this video in particular, give it a thumbs up. Be sure to like it. If you're enjoying my channel, be sure to subscribe. I'm doing more product demonstrations like this one, more unboxing videos, but I have a lot of great cannabis content as well. I also have content about growing mushrooms if that's something you're interested in. I do both. So be sure to check out my channel, be sure to subscribe, and be sure to leave me any comments or questions below. Thanks, everybody.